It's not.
Well, so let's go next.
But yeah, add the account, guys, and you can sort of call us randomly here, where you don't have to be friends with the account to make a call. And Brian's going to choose pseudo-randomly here. We already have some people with names we recognize. So we're going to mix and match between the Charlies of the Dota scene and the fans of the Dota scene. Charlie, you got about 3 more seconds before we move on, man. I don't know what you're doing with your life.
Let's go next.
All right,
let's
next him. Next him.
Yeah. Oh, he's in a call.
Okay.
You're still dead. You're dead to me. All right.
Pick and choose. Let's go.
Yeah, just pick and choose. Get one on here, Brian. Just go, go, go.
All right.
Random is best.
Let's call this dude.
If anyone's calling, you can just answer it too. That's fine.
Oh God, it's hard. I'll have to add the group call because everyone's calling me currently.
Brian,
there's an answer button. You see that answer?
Just click the green one.
Oh, okay, sure.
Welcome to the studio, sir. What's your question?
Hi. My question is in regards to like pre-game rituals. Which one is the best, and why is it sniffing your balls?
First one. I knew we were gonna
First one. Thank you, sir. You know, sometimes you just got to get in the zone. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't. Do we have serious pre-game rituals here?
Well,
we don't really have
pre-casting rituals.
Pre-casting rituals. Coffee is about it. Caffeine.
Yeah, coffee and shower.
Yeah, LD is the master of the. Oh, we've got 3 minutes. I'm gonna go take a shower, guys. I'll
If
be
you
back.
really want to know the reason why we're always late for in the studio, it's because 3 minutes in before we start the show, LD's like, "Okay, we're ready to start. Okay, I'm gonna go take a shower." It's like we're about to start.
Well, I guess
no one can smell you through the camera.
Yeah.
All right.
can they?
Thank you.
Thanks
for
for your question, Scoon.
Good luck with the rest of the stream.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Let's see. Oh gosh, so many calls. I don't know what I'm doing.
Just grab it random, dude. There's no rhyme or reason.
Answer.
Welcome to In the Studio, good sir. How can we help you?
Hey, first of all, thank you a lot for answering my call. I want to ask you a question about this dream team that everyone's been talking about with Kuroki and Puppy being free agents now. A lot of people have been talking about they're gonna form a team, and everyone's saying that it's gonna be Kuroki, Puppy, S4, No-Tail, and Fly. What do you think about this?
We talked about it a little bit in the second part, but I think it's a scary lineup. A lot of individual talent. They have a lot of drafters, a lot of support players.
Who did you say is your fifth? Because I know that's what's up in the air right now.
Fly.
I know Fly and No-Tail and Puppy and Kuroki are really like pretty firm. What was your other one?
S4.
S4, yeah.
I think if they get S4, it's going to be.
Up in the air
If that's the roster, I think it's going to be really scary. Like S4 is individual skill and mid.
It's a legit powerhouse.
I see that being
Best
like a
European team, probably.
And as the meta,
it's hard
in terms
to
of
say.
skill.
Yeah.
And I think as things are shifting from these strict positions and it's more kind of hero based, like PPD's been talking about, that's a team that really thrives in that environment because they all can. Most of them are just pretty damn flexible.
It's much more knowing like how to move around the map and like drafting focus rather than like individual skill outplaying your opponent.
So I'm interested to see how Puppy comes back, kind of sort of, because honestly I think his last year of drafting and captaining was a little like flat. Like I think he had some issues with players on his team. He felt a bit like I don't think he was very creative with much that he did. He wasn't the Puppy we know and love.
The team maybe had some issues, but I feel like it wasn't just like the rest of them. I think Puppy was everyone kind of added to it.
So I'm looking to see if he fills that kind of role, if he's drafting, if he's captaining. I'm really interested to see how he does with this team. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you as well. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you, man.
All right.
All right.
See if I can
Next up.
1 second. Let's see if I can actually find Charlie.
Mr. Producer Man, if you just want to leave the lower third up so people know what they're adding, I don't think we'll run out of callers anytime soon, but just this for the sake of good measure here.
Yeah, sorry guys, we can't get to all of you.
Can't get to all of you guys, it's just random, so no hard feelings if you don't make it in, but can we do?
Here you go.
All right.
Hello? Oh, hello, Charlie. How are you today?
I'm okay. Sorry, I had to. Someone called me.
I know you're very popular. Your time is valuable, so the honor is ours. What can we do for you?
Sorry. So, I asked Join Dota this question on their other show, but I guess the people that could really answer it weren't really on. But I guess you guys are here.
It sounds like can we even
Great.
So yeah, okay, sure.
Okay.
Well, because I guess Join Dota's structure is a little bit different, and the buck stops with Jacob, and Jacob wasn't on.
Okay.
Either way, so with the whole YouPorn stuff coming up, if they made a team, would you guys allow them to be in your tournaments?
I think that's an
it would
easy yes.
completely be dependent upon. I think the reason why that people think they can't right now is because other sponsors will be upset.
Yeah.
I know Twitch has come out and said, like, when we've been talking with Twitch, that like we can't promote YouPorn. on Twitch.
It sort of
YouPorn
depends
cannot
on
be promoted on Twitch.
Yeah.
Like, that is something that their upper management, their ad team is just no. So
I mean, from our point of view, like we're less. I mean, from when the way we interact with the community, we're much more open-minded, I would say.
what God is saying is that we'll do crazy shit on camera.
No, look,
so this shouldn't be that much of a
basically the
stretch.
answer is yes, we'd allow them to play unless we had sponsors who strictly were like, look,
Yes.
I mean, I guess it comes down to sponsors.
That's always the issue, right? I mean, I'm
Right.
not. I think most tournament organizers would be like, yes, you can be in our tournament, but the issue always comes with sponsors or whatever. Let's say you're hosting this show and you want one of the YouPorn guys on. Would 100 TB be like
100 TB? I can't say for sure. We haven't asked them. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's just an example.
That's
Let's say one of your big sponsors says no, you can't have this. Like, would you push back or?
Well, I would push back, and I think that's.
I think it hinges on two things, really. The big one is the nature of the YouPorn sponsorship. Their marketing guy did a really good interview where they asked him about how are you going to translate that to an audience that has a lot of people that are under 18, and they said their approach will be more palatable for people that aren't, super into porn. It's not like they're going to have naked people on the jerseys or something that's obviously extreme, but it's going to be toned down. So it depends on to what nature that is, I think, is really a big...
Well, at the end of the day, if their team name is YouPorn, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Right?
It's porn, and then somebody's going to ask, "Mommy, what's porn?"
Yeah.
Right. And where does Twitch draw the line is the other question. Like, is this conversation right now in violation of what Twitch considers appropriate in the context of porn talk? That's where it's kind of a gray area, and they say, okay, you can't have the title of your stream brought to you by YouPorn, but are we allowed to show players that have a YouPorn logo on their jersey playing Dota?
It's going to be like YP with pink wings. It's probably all you're really going to see. It's YP with pink wings, and we'd probably call them Team YP.
Yeah, so I think it's the nuances in that gray
it's like
area.
YP, except
white that really make it confusing. So it just depends on how much exposure YouPorn wants, like logo name-wise, versus how much we can push back with our sponsors and Twitch.
I mean, I'm gonna guess, like, if I were YouPorn, I would want the URL of my site displayed somewhere. I mean, what kind of are you gonna get without?
But I mean, they know that they can't market on Twitch, and they know that Dota is broadcast on Twitch. Like, YouPorn knows this, so they have some. I reckon they have some sort of a plan. I don't think their plan is just to dive in and say, "Fuck it, hopefully we can get our logo out there." I mean, I want to hope there's a little bit more of a plan in the works that we're just not privy to.
And you brought up another good point about the fact that a large amount of our audience is younger than is technically going to even be able to visit their site. Like, there have been people that wanted to work with like alcohol companies before, and because like not vast majority, I would say like a plurality of our audience is under 21.
For sure.
Even.
There's also a lot of players that are under 18. Like
Zaya's
17.
Is Zaya 18 yet?
No, Zaya's 17 and Arteezy is basically 12.
Okay, so like, I mean, in a court of law, I think Arteezy couldn't be sponsored by a porn team because I'm pretty sure by Vancouver standards, he's mentally 12. I think.
Fan City.
But he can drink already in California in Canada, so that's interesting. Anyway, but yeah, so like, is that actually a legal boundary? Can a team or a organization that like their product is not accessible by your age be able to sponsor someone who can't even access their product?
I think YouPorn has said that everyone that they plan on signing is going to be at least 18.
Okay, so it's just not an issue that they're equipped to
But what
deal
happens
with.
if they want to do roster changes? Like after TI, if YouPorn is getting a lot of good,
that's a limiting factor. Then I mean,
why would you want
to?
Yeah,
it's going to do this. It's going to come with a lot of strings attached.
Right. Well, I think to sort of sum it up, we're lucky enough in the sense that we don't have a lot of sponsors that we're adherent to. Twitch and 100TB are our two biggest partners that we work with.
I mean, Twitch does not like the YouPorn thing.
Yeah, so that's for us.
Summit. So
that's our we're sort of beholden to Twitch on that kind of a thing, more so than just their normal streaming rules, but they're actually a sponsor with us.
Right.
So
they might not want to be associated with it.
That's where it becomes a big gray area thing. And I guess the question is, would we push back if the sponsor said no? And I think maybe a little bit, but
I mean, at the end of the day,
it comes down to dollar and cents.
Because at the end of the day, like even if you're sex positive, like there's still a difference between like dealing with. Well, I'm saying like if you're okay with if you're not like you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying here.
Yes, I like that. I do know what you're talking about.
There's still something to deal with, like putting your sponsorship logo right beside a porn company's logo, because not everyone is this feels the same way about porn as you do? Or does that think it's like, oh, it's okay, like it's sex, it's okay, it's a common part of our society. Why is this a bad thing? A lot of people don't feel that way.
But so does this open up an opportunity for someone like Hitbox or Zubu to take a much more lax stance on this and perhaps pick up a couple streamers if there was a big...
I mean, do you think like this,
I don't think
this
that's the
unicorn team is like that big of a fish for...
Depends which team it is, dude. If it's the new mystery team that's been rumored with...
I didn't think it was going to be. I did not think it was going to be.
I'm just saying, if it, like, I mean, it depends. I have no idea which team it's going to be. I honestly don't.
Because if you put them in your qualifiers, you're running a risk of that team being at your finals.
Yeah.
You always have to prepare for it. So if it's like a tier 2 European team, that if they performed well, if they're like a Team Coast quality team, that like they could be in your qualifiers. Also, does Valve invite them to TI? Do you even want to be Team Uporn if Valve isn't going to invite you to the international at the end of the year? Because that's every team's goal, right? Is to get to the international.
Tournaments often have rules about like player names, team names not being something appropriate. There was actually an instant MLG Full Sail where Pretty Boy Swag had to change their team name. That was
they couldn't
a bit silly.
Swag.
That was, I think, an example where they didn't need to enforce that. And looking back, I think MLG were like, well, we didn't have to, but. If teams promoting porn in their team name, like I think the organizer has every right to say, look, you can't enter our tournament using that name.
We let Zai be Big Dick Bandit throughout our entire team.
Well, that was more like a a different kind of issue.
He appreciates your leniency.
Fucking Mason. Okay, Mason took it too far. Okay, so we let Zai be fucking Big Dick Bandit, but then he changed his name to Summit Sucks. And it's like,
come on, man.
Be at least original, man.
To be fair, he was only Summit Sucks in the loading in the loading
on the
loading area.
Yeah.
In the game, he was.
He's the surprise, right? 9 tentacle surprise.
Yeah.
Tentacle surprise.
HMO.HMO. Oh god. Okay.
But,
all right, Charlie.
In defense of Mason, he could not change his name at that time.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough. In defense of Mason, fair enough. Charlie, it's always a pleasure, man. Thank you for bringing the hard-hitting questions.
Thank you. So, I would assume that EG needs to drop their YouPorn sponsorship if we want to play on the Summit tournaments.
We'll talk about it. We'll probably be more lenient than most, I would say, but it just really comes down to the sponsors.
Our people will be in talks with your people.
Our people will call your people, Charlie. Don't worry.
All right.
Bye, dude.
All right. Keep them coming, Brian. Keep them coming.
All right.
Let's go. Okay, boys. All right. Hello. Welcome to In the Studio. What can we do for you?
Hello. I just have a question, because after TI3, you saw Virtus Pro go in a slump of its own, and then now we have new lineups, people leaving big teams, and recently there's announcement of Fnatic's new team. I don't know if you've seen it, it's on Reddit and Twitter. Do you see a team that's going to go into a slump now because they're losing all their big players?
Well, I think Virtus Pro, didn't they, after TI3, make like a really star-studded roster? It just didn't work?
Yeah, it was Resolution,
Wait, but they...
Lost, Light of Heaven, Arsart,
Goblack was on the team initially? Yeah.
I think Goblack was on the team alongside...
I remember this team,
I think
it was
it's
the Tomb of Chef's team.
I think it's one of those stories. I think it's a good point to bring up, because you look at that was meant to be a Russian dream team, and that's where you look at some of these other Team Tinker, the new mystery team with Puppy Kuro. Maybe they actually won't live up to expectations, because that's kind of what happened with Virtus Pro. So I think I don't know if a team like Fnatic. I think you look at a team like Fnatic, and there's some new players to the scene there, so there isn't the expectations on them. So maybe as an organization they'll slump compared to their previous results. But I'd be more worried about a team like the new Team Tinker or something slumping, because maybe these teams won't be as scary as people think.
Yeah,
I've seen, like, they're obviously a very individually skilled team, but I watched Team Tinker play Power Rangers in Game 1. Like, Power Rangers just absolutely ran over them, and it's one game of Dota, which is not hard, but like they definitely have a ways to go. Like, I think a lot of these teams tend to underrate like being comfortable around other players. Like, when you play enough with a player, you know what they're going to do. Like, I talked to Bubble about this a lot, about your support duo. Like, when you can know what your support's going to do, and like, sure, you still need to communicate, but kind of like being able to expect what they would do in that situation, like, it makes it a lot easier. Like, it's easier to be a team. So some of these teams I feel like will struggle, especially if Alliance ends up losing S4 and EGM, like is being speculated.
Yeah,
I feel like I feel like that team struggles for a bit at the start too.
I think one of the biggest slumps, if I had to guess, would be the Navi EU team, because they've been together for so long and now they're splitting apart, and we'll get to see what sort of just who's going to fill those slots, and can they live up to Puppy, Kuro?
Yeah.
Those are really high skilled players.
Score has really big shoes to fill if he's going to be captaining and drafting, which I think.
Yeah. So I think that in context of like the Virtus Pro analogy to TI3, I think Navi EU is about as close as we get. But
yeah,
we'll see. It's still early on in the game. So thank you, sir.
All right. How many more do we want to take?
No, at least a few more here.
Few more?
Charlie was rather long-winded with his questions, so we'll maybe extend an extra. Add some stoppage time.
Oh, this guy's Totoro is his avatar.
Oh, good. Hello.
So I think that in context of like the Virtus Pro analogy,
sir, you have your stream on a little loud there. Just hang up on him.
We'll see. It still is.
Okay, he hung up. Sorry, dude. We were listening to ourselves talk. This
Yeah. For a second, I was like, "Wait, what?"
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to In the Studio. What can we do for you?
Oh, hi.
Wait. Hi.
So I was wondering what you guys thought about the current esports model for Dota, and like if other games would follow in the future.
What do you mean? What
Like
aspect do you mean
crowdfunding
specifically?
type
Yeah, the
stuff?
crowdfunding or workshop?
Yeah, mainly crowdfunding and how tournaments are done.
I think Valve is in sort of a unique position in terms of how well they've executed the crowdfunding. Like raising $10 million is an absurd amount of money that I don't think most companies can emulate. And I think Valve are able to do that because they have a very loyal following. They have a reputation of being a good company that's not very shady, not very scummy, very trustworthy. And they have this track record of, okay, we put $1 million into a great tournament, and then they kind of built it up. I think if somebody came in just like, hey guys, we got this awesome new game, we're going to crowdfund it, come on, don't you want to chip in? I don't think it will be very successful. I think another company could try to do it, but it would take time. And I think it's easy to look at what Valve did in TI4 in a vacuum. Wow, this is really awesome. Let's do that. But you have to look at the history to get there.
Right. Exactly. That's where Valve developed Dota 2. There were no cosmetics for years when Dota 2 started getting made. There was no tickets. There was no workshop. And I mean, I think Valve, obviously, their long-term plan was to include that. I don't know if they knew it would blow up as much as it did, but you've got to build a popular game first. As far as the current Dota 2 model goes, I think the crowdfunding and tournament size is very different. Like TI, sure, it was very crowdfunding focused, but your normal tournament season, there is some element of growing the prize pool now, but I think that's obviously no one can match up to what Valve does. So all these tournaments are growing in prize money to begin with, but without the crowdfunding element.
I'm going to disagree just slightly because I think that the thing is, like, what are the current systems in place? The current systems in place for funding a tournament it stems from the developer, right? Because the developer can kind of double dip when they put money into a tournament. So it works both as they can give money to teams that are playing their game as like a marketing tool, but it's also helping your esports scene. Right. So it's not just like a random organization, putting $1 million tournament. As a developer, you can use that as marketing budget. So it's like you can double dip and so you can put more money into it. And both Riot, Valve, I'm sure even like High Res with Smite stuff is putting money. Like they've done a couple of big ones. Blizzard's putting money into tournaments. So that's effective for them. But the difference is whether or not you go for this, like, let's stay back and just let organizations work, or let's get involved and like make a league like Riot does. And I think that Riot's system is the one that requires more resources, honestly.
Absolutely. Riot's got like 700 employees, dude.
Right. So I think crowdfunding actually can be done by smaller teams, smaller developers, but they're not going to get as much money as Valve, honestly. But if you are a smaller developer and you're trying to grow your small little esports game,
if Riot did crowdfunding, though, they would make more than Valve.
They specifically said they will not beg their audience for money.
No.
That wasn't a direct quote, but that was the tone. That was the tone.
They also took that back and it was one random.
Did they redact that?
They had a PR dude that kind of went off
that
the
was just
rails.
like one random employee who made in an interview of side comment which we shouldn't have made. Like that's not Riot's. Riot have said positive things about Valve, the compendium model, and said actually praised Valve for it. So that's not right. Riot and not
there's
firing shots
between
at
not
Valve.
flaming and praising.
Well, praising maybe.
It was like a professional
They made a professional response to that, saying, "Look, we really respect what Valve have done." And
you mean as a PR follow up, though?
Oh, I honestly
a PR follow up is different from just a good job, buddies.
Anyway,
I still think right. Look at that and be like, "That's really interesting that Valve can do this." And I don't think they look at it like, "Oh, they're."
Going forward, I think basically going back to the question at hand, I think more esports will follow Valve's model than will follow Riot's model, just because it's easier.
Well,
and cheaper.
I can say that. Yeah.
They might not be. They're not going to be as successful as Valve because it's Valve and it's Dota. But
Yeah.
I think that's the route because you can use your game that people are already playing, already putting money into if they're in-app purchases, and just put it into the tournament. It's easy.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Thank you, sir, for your question. Moving forward, we'll take at least a few more here.
What's the name of my cat?
Choice is yours, man. Oh, God. All right. Hello. Welcome to In the Studio. What can we do for you?
Hello.
Hi.
I wanted to talk about a bit about the TI4 finals.
Okay.
After the finals, a lot of people were like, this was the shittiest patch ever, but I felt the finals were more about like how Vici choked. I was just wondering what you thought about it.
I mean, as someone who was kind of on the desk there and stuff and watching the finals, I felt the drafting from Vici Gaming was definitely not on point. Like I think they were just like, especially the Venomancer picks to me were what was kind of bizarre, especially when it didn't work once. So I think part of it was Vici Gaming just not preparing as well. They didn't really have a plan B once their first strategies weren't working. It definitely wasn't an exciting finals. I think it was a very strategic one. The problem was all the games were just so snowbally. That was why a lot of people were disappointed and thought it was a bad finals. And I definitely think there was an element of Vici Gaming not showing up and playing their best.
It seemed like the format sort of helped their style a little bit too, because that style is so well suited for best of ones, and they played so high in the group stage that they started really high in the bracket, so they could sort of use that more one-dimensional strategy less to more effect, if that sort of makes sense.
Well, I think even leading up to the finals, they weren't as one-dimensional. They were mixing up a bit with their picks.
Anti-mage pick, like
they were going for a similar. I mean, well, the anti-mage pick, that game aside, like they were playing the similar play style, game in, game out, but they were mixing up the heroes. They stuck with the same heroes game in, game again. Like I want to see something like the Bristleback pick, which works for them early. There are a few heroes which they could have maybe changed up just kind of mix things up a bit while maintaining their same playstyle, which they didn't really do. Yeah, I guess.
I think.
So you guys want more best of twos in the group final or something, or in the group stage?
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah,
I think so.
This is my opinion on best of ones versus best of twos in the group stages. Best of ones are better from a spectator standpoint because you can come away from each matchup with knowing who won. Right?
Yeah.
It's not fun to watch a tie.
Yeah.
But from a competitive standpoint about which is more fair, I think best of twos are a lot more fair.
If you want an exciting tournament format, it's like even do like split the teams up into like 4 groups of 4 and then do best of 3 group stage, like top 2 advance. Like that's more exciting for the spectators. But
Valve's big on experiments, so I think that this format this year was a bit of an experiment.
Well, I think Valve are also big on making it fair in the sense that like if you had groups, like then it would matter who's in your group. So they put everyone in, it's just one group of 16 teams because Valve don't want any element of like, oh, so-and-so had an easier group, so they suddenly earn more. Valve are all about finding the best team, so they make a format which they see as fair. A lot of people would say BO1 wasn't that fair, but the fact is everyone played everyone, and so on.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving forward here. It's a pretty solid question so far. Started off and it started low and then worked our way up, you know?
All right. Hello.
Hello, welcome to In the Studio. What can we do for you?
What's up?
Oh, you're a little quiet there, sir. You might want to turn up the volume knob there on the old microphone.
What? I ain't no quiet. Yeah, so...
There we go.
Did you want to call in and talk about the Fnatic, the new Fnatic roster? Has that been basically confirmed, Johan?
Yeah. It's basically everyone in the Finnish scene knew about it, so...
Do you want to go ahead? I don't think we've actually talked about who
We have not talked about it.
It's going to be Trixie on carry, Matumbaman, who is a Finnish solo mid prodigy. They call him the Finnish Arteezy, so, you know, go figure.
Okay. Right.
He's going to be on mid. Boogie, who was on Rats in the Dark, he's going to be the offlaner. He's been widely considered one of the best Finnish players for quite a while, and he's just not really had a good team to shine on, so we'll see what happens. And that leaves Honey as 4 position support and Paz as 5 position.
Paz is a big deal because Paz and Fada were kind of that, you know, like package deal for a while.
Duo, yeah.
It's like the two guys, like we've had the divorce of the 2 big couples of Dota. Misery and Pycat have parted ways, and Fada and Paz have parted ways.
Loda and Aki are still together.
That's true. Okay, the original duo. Is
and Puppy and Kuro.
Puppy and Kuro are still together. Okay, so
Fly and No Tail sticking together.
Okay, it's like
Oh, there you go. Still a couple couples, but
still a couple of couples sticking together.
Yeah, well, it should be exciting.
Do you think this team is going to be really solid? I mean, these are two people that you said yourself are pretty individually skilled and you think are good players. Yeah. But do you feel like the team is going to perform well?
I think like the individual pieces could work out fairly well. I think it's a big question of like they don't really have a history together. Like Matumbaman, he's also so new to the scene, so he doesn't really have a history. You don't know what the chemistry is with any of the other guys. Right. I just know. Well, basically, he schooled Trixie's the Finstack team. He schooled them at assembly, like completely ripped them apart. Played like Meepo and Tinker and stuff like that, and just beast. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the chemistries work. But in terms of individual skill, I think they could be okay. It's going to be like if Fnatic has the like they've shown a lot of patience developing their teams in the past.
Yeah.
Like when they took on Nova, Fly, and No Tail, they were kind of nobodies on the scene.
That's true.
And they built them up and they fostered them over many years. Like, what was it? Fly and No Tail actually spent some like 4 or 5 years with Fnatic.
It's been a long time, at least.
I remember talking to Street about how he was talking about like, yeah, I remember I played with these guys in pubs and brought them in. And,
yeah. Street loves to tell that story.
All right, well, thank you for sharing, sir. We'll look forward to seeing how the Fnatic roster performs, and it's a good conclusion to our talk from earlier because we didn't really talk about Fnatic. So, thanks for the insight, my friend. Always a pleasure.
See you, man.
All right, take care. All right, we'll take maybe 2 more, something like that, going up on their 30-minute mark. We'll see.
It's your show, man.
Maybe a few snappy ones. It's your show.
I'm trying to see if there's...
Good up to Brian.
I'm trying to see if I can do any fan service.
Chinese characters. Let's get some
Chinese characters. Come on, Brian. Let's spice it up. Let's get something spicy. Let's get some cayenne pepper in here.
Oh, gosh.
Choose the most.
Jalapenos.
This guy.
Hello, and welcome to In the Studio. What can we do for you?
Hey, just a quick one. Is Champ there?
Who? Champ?
I don't know.
I feel like I'm missing the punchline.
I feel like I'm missing a joke.
I don't understand.
Can you repeat that?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Did he say champ? Is that what he said?
I don't know.
Shot? Whatever. All right.
Okay, whatever. Moving on. Hello.
Welcome in the studio. Can we help you with a question?
Hey, I was just wondering, I've been sniffing around on the Reddit forums, and I've noticed that Gods has made a promise to cosplayers Enchantress, but he hasn't actually done it yet. When can we expect results from that?
Well, that's a good question.
Valve time?
Valve time. We don't really want to make any more promises because we've revoked his promise, his promise power. So I don't know, Gods. When do you want to promise the cosplay will come out?
You guys are my spokespeople now.
Let's say ASAP. As soon as the costume arrives in the States, I don't know.
We've sacked the former
I can tell you, everybody here wants this shit to be over with so bad. If there's something we could do to expedite the process, we would do it.
You saw the last In the Studio episode.
Yeah. LD, yeah. If you don't know what we're talking about, watch the part 1 of the last episode of In the Studio. LD does a good 5-minute homage to Gods and how terrible he is. So, I don't know. ASAP, soon.
When it actually gets done.
I wish I had a real answer for you.
No.
Okay, thanks a lot, friends. Keep on rocking in the free world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
All right, are we gonna end on that one?
Let's do one more, Brian. We'll take one more. We'll take a conclusion call.
Okay.
Roll the dice once more.
Oh, God.
My inner gambler here.
I want to end on a good one.
End on a good one.
It's like a landmine, dude. All right.
Uh-oh.
This guy's Swedish. Swedish people
All
are right?
There you go. Yeah, usually. Hello. Welcome to In the Studio. Can we help you with a question? Apparently not. Good sir. Are you at your computer?
No, that's unfortunate.
All right.
All right.
We'll try once more.
I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anybody that's... We'll go with this.
All right. Welcome to In the Studio. Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
Oh my goodness.
Whoa.
I got picked
Yes.
So first, shout out to Missouri. I've been talking to him on Steam for the past few days. But I guess my question is that, you know, I'm more focusing on the amateur games. Would a league system be better for the amateur scene, or would a tournament system be better?
I think tournament's better because with leagues you need stable teams. When you look at the amateur scene, a lot of people aren't really committing all their time, and they just kind of do it on the side a bit. Even the teams that are serious are often, like, the better players in the team will always want to move their way up, so they'll be replacing the weaker players in their team, maybe joining new teams. So I think it's just not possible to have a league system for the amateur scene at the moment.
Also, the amateur teams kind of get screwed in the league system, don't they? Because there's not that many third-party tournaments. So if you're not in LCS, like, it's really kind of hard to...
Well, no, wait.
So,
is he? Hold on. Are you asking about League of Legends? Or I think he's talking about like leagues. Like,
yes.
Like a league, not just a standalone tournament. Like
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Gods gets it. Brian is in another planet.
No, I think you need just standalone tournaments for the amateur scene. I don't think you can create like a big year-round league for the amateur teams.
Exactly what you said. Yeah.
Right. So the thing with the tournament is that, like, usually it runs for a long time, right? You know, from 6 to 12 or something like that. And like people don't have that kind of time as an amateur or a casual player. So like what we thought was that something that, you know, maybe happens over like a period of 4 months, and then people can just, you know, drop in whenever they have time to kind of play, and, you know, maybe just like matchmaking, but, you know, we give out prizes every week or something like that.
So you're saying kind of like SECS and like some of the North American, like...
Yes, like, you know, like NEL, like IXL, but more focused on a team manner.
I mean, I think it can be done. But one of those things, I mean, the thing about those is that we're in, like, I think that those type of leagues and tournaments can exist hand in hand. Because they kind of do now.
You can pick and choose what you play, I guess, based on your schedule.
So I think I think for the amateur scene, that is the focus for a lot of teams. Like, a lot of teams have kind of formed together, and a lot of players that have kind of swapped over from other games or trying to, you know, prove themselves in a pro scene have started out in those type of leagues. Like, I know a lot of people have credited IXDL with like getting them, you know, up in terms of quality and stuff. And I think those will always exist in some form or function. But when it comes to tournaments, like, it's just like another step, right? So I think they can exist in the same, like,
I mean, it's not something that the amateur scene could benefit from, is having like the ladders where you can challenge teams on the ladder to try and move your way up, because then you can play on your own schedule. Like, if you don't have that much time to play that many matches, it's kind of, you don't have to challenge teams.
We're here, we're ready. Who wants to fight? Kind of a thing.
You can play like as many games within the tournament system as you want, and I think that's kind of different to a league. Like, I would say that there's league tournaments and ladders is kind of like its own kind of model. But
right. Awesome. Well, thanks for the feedback.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Thank you. Thanks for calling. So I think that pretty much wraps it up. Unless there's, I see Jimmy here in chat going crazy. He's not actually trying to call. Okay. So is Champ there? I still don't know who Champ is. This is going to be a new Twitch meme. Is Champ there? Anybody find Champ?
I don't know, man.
Champ's missing. I don't know what happened to him.
All right. So that was our last caller.
Yeah, that wraps it up, guys. Thank you so much for the good questions.
I'm disappointed.
No John Cena. Yeah, that was fun. We won't be doing open phones every episode, but it's a pocket strap we'll be pulling out on occasion now that we've gotten our feet wet and
when we ran out of ideas.
I don't know about you, but I had a good bit of fun. Come on now, Brian. You enjoyed yourself working.
I was
the helm.
pushing the button. I was anxious.
He was in the zone. So
yeah, it's on you if you get like a
screamer
or something.
Some like secret, like some like government secrets, like some like. Edward Snowden was going to decide to call in and display his...
Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what Snowden's doing right now, watching twitch.tv/Beyond the Sun.
I'll be responsible.
Guys, we are back in full swing, though. This is the first episode of our second season, which means every Sunday we'll be back with In the Studio by 100TB as planned. Next week will be kind of a weird one, as it's just going to be me and Brian in the actual studio. But after that, LD will be back, and we'll get back into the normal flow of things. Sundays, right around 2 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, PST. Varies based on tournaments and all that good stuff. Thank you so much for joining us. That wraps up the episode, but we have one more thing. We have a surprise.
After the credits.
After the credits, guys, I'm not going to spoil it completely, but we've been challenged, and we're going to live up to that challenge, so you might want to hang around for another 5 or 10 minutes to enjoy the challenge.
God's actually going to keep his word for once. This will be nice.
Yes. God's Arena. So, we'll see you guys in a bit. Bye.